English unofficial broadcast. So start leveling up your game today with a MOBA trainer, as we have jumped right back into the draft of game number 2 in our upper semifinal. Top Esports staying on that blue side, dropping game 1, with the ban staying a little bit, actually changing up a lot.
Yeah, a little different. Later half, the Trundle ban ends up being a Poppy ban, and that really does open up a Xin game. Which I like the setup for 369. But of course, BLG with Bin, they've really discovered that they can just kind of slam Yorick and it's chill. And that looks to be the plan here. But that Trundle ban, Trundle's really been emerging as a potential higher priority jungler. And I've actually quite liked it. I think you need to play with winning lanes and play to skirmish early. But definitely some power, especially with all the tanks being taken to the top lane at the moment.
Yeah, to me, seeing the Trundle ban for Top Esports basically was announcing to the world that they were going to lock in Xin Zhao. So surprised to see that BLG didn't ban that one away, instead choosing to ban the Poppy, as we have really flown through this first phase of the draft with the entire top sides being selected. But yeah, I do want to reemphasize Bin's Yorick being very, very powerful in the side laning, even though he didn't actually do too much on it in game number 1 against IG in terms of team fighting. He ended the game 1-1-1, but the side lane pressure that he had against this Scion that has been locked in for 369 was very, very evident.
We'll say that as this matchup has evolved, it has gotten a little bit better for Scion because everyone just builds the Sunfire Cape now, so you deal with the pets a little bit better, but this is still the matchup where Yorick really started to emerge as a power pick after his changes. And at the moment, I do like what we have for BLG. I think they need to find a way to actually deal with the Scion, though, because Wukong, definitely ability to tank bust and kind of play interrupt duty against this Azir, but I don't think that they have enough damage to deal with Scion. I think they're going to have to, like, they can't take an AD like Jhin, right? Yeah. So I'm kind of interested to see where they go from here.
It's going to be support bans here for Top Esports with that Rakan taken off the board. Where now we can start to pinch that pool for JackeyLove a little bit more. Cubby, we saw the Varus ban away in the first phase, the Ashe in the second. Wouldn't be surprised to see MF right here to just continue to make JackeyLove more and more uncomfortable, forcing him onto something he does not want to play.
I don't love playing MF in the Scion. That said, with the Jhin and Ashe bans, I don't think that these are a great chance for BLG in this game, so I do like these bans. And it is kind of setting up for a potential MF.
I wouldn't be surprised to see them lock it in. That's exactly what they did in game number 1, where they banned away 2 marksmen from JackeyLove and then picked 1 on 4. That was the Ezreal for Elk that last time around. The MF, as you say, like, might have some sort of impact here. A
lot of the good matchups are gone.
Yeah.
Could Lucian. Lucian did get nerfed a little bit on this patch. The E cooldown just a little bit longer. And also we have seen LPL be more willing to play Lucian without the enchantresses, as I know that's been a really big thing in LCK with Lucian Braum being back. Of course, if you run Final Life, you can proc Lucian's passive. So that's big. But giving over the MF, I'm a little bit surprised about this. This is, I consider JackeyLove like one of, if not the best MF players in the world. And I think that this is a reasonable setup for MF. Just with the Azir, you have that tank busting. So I do feel like this is a game where MF's early strength and Top Esports' ability to play with and around this, they are a very good MF team. So a little bit surprised MF actually went over.
And after losing that first game with champions that were preferring to side lane and play with those semi-globals, it is full team fight for Top Esports here in game number 2. As we are waiting to see what Elk's going to lock in on 5. A lot of different options. I would say the Corki makes a little bit more sense just with some of that armor shred against something like the Scion. But the Jinx would be fun, as Top Esports say, we want a team fight, and BLG say, okay, well, we're going to match you with one of the best team fighting AD carries in the entire game.
Okay, I was about to say, it was looking like Reset City there for a second, but they are going to rock with this Lucian, plus I would expect to be a Final Life on the Rel. As Lucian, your ability to try and play around the MF Azir, it can be really nice, but this is going to be about burst ability for BLG. You don't want to hit the Scion. You got to play around the Scion, and how big of a fight can we have when Rel and Beichuan, or Rel and Wukong are going to press R on Top Esports? I think that on the flip, Creme ability to actually play disengage could be quite good this game. And I don't see the damage for Top Esports, or BLG. They have a lot of damage, but is it actually enough to get through Scion? I'm not sure. Do they have enough tools to get around the Scion? I think that's the real answer to this game. They got to present angles to the MF and the Azir.
Yeah, this is going to be a fascinating game to watch, because we haven't seen too much of the Lucian plus non-enchantress in the bottom lane here in the LPL at the very least. And then for top esports, just such a deviation in their style from what they went for in game number 1. But, you know, they knew that they had to be a little bit different this time after being basically demolished after a couple of bad fights in the first game that allowed for BLG to get control.
I do still like it. I know that the scaling of BLG with at least the top side and like the Wukong can kick in, but I think their ability to get pushed with Azir, MF, and Sion, have stable lanes behind the Xin Zhao, and try and play this game, early game from start to finish. For me, that's actually much more of a return to the style we're used to seeing from top esports, so see if they executed this game.
BLG 2-0 to top in the regular season just a couple of weeks ago. But top esports have the upper hand when it comes to performances in the playoffs, at least this year. They are your split 1 champions. Their lower bracket run included a 3-1 over BLG, and we're going to see if that remains the case as we're on to the way for game number 2 from Beijing.
All right. Well, we got the Giants this time around. We were feeling pretty good there. It's Beijing nice and loud.
JackeyLove. Oh, he gets knocked up for the crash down. Immediately followed up by Elk. Wow, that forces the flash away. 2 members underneath the tower. And first blood picked up for BLG. JackeyLove just did not see that play coming.
That's a rough start. First blood going to be picked up by On. A lot of flashes burned, so we'll see if Kanavi kind of changes things up. I can't see him going from his Raptors to the top side. So maybe we're going to have Kanavi actually look bot now, as I'm disappointed we don't have a Fauna Life on On's Rel. But we do have free boots on the Rel, so definitely going to be dedicated to laning here, as the move speed for BLG not going to be intact for a while. A lot of members going free boots. Actually, can be quite interesting with some of the metagame in terms of runes.
I feel that's a very greedy shield bash for On. I mean, obviously, like, you get the little extra chunk of damage once you,
nice on Rel,
you W in, but you get so much more damage if you allow for Lucian's passive to be procced, right? So I guess for On, like, just like an early lock-it is what they're looking for here. That's a 2-man crash down onto the flashless JackeyLove. You see Chris taking a good chunk of damage as well. So the early laning phase going very well for BLG.
Yeah, PTA quite nice, and I do like Lucian and MF. This is a good matchup for Lucian. Your ability to try and get around the double ups, around the bullet time, and use your combos to really pressure MF, something that she can't really keep up with. And if you want to get crazy, I know of some dark technology. It's very old, but you can play some Bork Lucian if you actually want to keep up with the vamp of MF2. It's dark, but you know it used to be doable.
That's like season 7, season 8 that was really popular. So we're going into the vault for that one here.
Oh yeah, that's a vault, but that's all right. We're probably not going to see that one this game, but you know, I always like to throw out the old Lucians. As Elk first time piloting the Lucian. It's worth noting, of course, Knight on Ahri. He is an unbelievable Ahri player. The Knight also an unbelievable mid laner, and someone that we have really felt like a lot of BLG and the strength, the differences they've had. Knight's been solid all split, but Knight has gone to the second gear with Beichuan, as he has hands down, uncontested, been the best mid laner in LPL. This split, and frankly, since he started hoisting these trophies in the league, Grapes.
Yeah, it's been, I think this is like year 6 of Knight just being at the forefront of everything LPL mid lane. It's been a decade of Knight here, to say the least. As another engage comes through from JackeyLove, forces the cleanse here with that Q, but Kanavi has path down here, so going to continue the play at least a little bit longer. As Kanavi does have the W and the flash combo to try to gap close here. On going forward, the audacious charge lands onto the Rel, and it's going to be a 1-for-1 trade, but the support's falling. But that's not positive for top esports, as they'll be able to push this wave on in.
It's fed over to JackeyLove. This will be a double crab for Beichuan, as he's just going to cruise through mid to take this one. This actually is really nice for Beichuan. And the 1-for-1 trade, yes, getting the golden MF's a little bit better, but honestly not all that bad for BLG, as Elk's not going to be pressured off any of this, and Beichuan does get a little bit of a lead. Is nice. The Wukong against Xin Zhao in this matchup. You do have to get Trinity Force, so a little bit of a higher gold threshold to get your first item, and Wukong scales really, really hard. So I think Beichuan getting off to a clean start can be really nice here.
Does pick up the double crab, as you said, and Chris going to spot that one out right away. So Kanavi a little bit homeless until his second spawn of camps does come in. But speaking of, we're going to see an immediate swap to the top side here for top esports, making sure that Bin is in an isolated situation. But it's going to be matched immediately by Elk, so they see this coming.
Really well played here by BLG. I think something that I always like to think about or talk about when there's a Sion game, just overarching, your ability to 1v2 as Scion versus other top laners, it's a lot. It's really good.
Oh, they can bait for Elk because they know that Kanavi is here as well.
This is spotted.
Yeah, the Ardent Blaze already coming through. Kanavi going to be the target. Crash down lands on top of him. He's at forced to flash away at 300 HP. Not a ton of damage to follow things up. And it's just going to be Crisp and Kanavi on the run.
Dropping away.
Waiting for On's next proc of the W. That crowd control does land. And the Feats of Warfare secure for BLG.
Well played by BLG. A great ward drop by Bin. Frankly, that ward, by the way, was spotted. He was holding this wave. And BLG saw Bin dip down and drop that ward. I'm really surprised that Kanavi actually walked over it. It's something that Kanavi and top esports are pretty elite at in terms of playing around vision gaps. Definitely something that Kelsey Moser was talking to us about beforehand. We very much agreed with. Walking over that ward there again, BLG on top of things with the swap. We're able to find the first one. That said, Bin did TP to match the bot lane, so they will be stuck for this swap.
Yeah, so at the end of the day, top esports get what they wanted, but it comes at the cost of another kill and the Feats of Warfare and just overall a good early game for BLG.
It's not worth it.
We do finally get set up. I mean, this should mean like a dragon could get secured here for top esports if they are able to play things out well, but for now, it's not looking too good for them as Bin actually hits level 6. And Crisp could be in some trouble with on the way as well. Dodged away from the stun, but there's just way too much DPS. The Maiden doing some work, and Bin will get on the board as well.
I love how BLG is playing this early game. And I know we really did set up this series as being a potential early game arms race, with top esports being at their best when they are able to play games out from minute 1 with pushing lanes. But man, some of the answers we've had from BLG just on the map with some of their movements in play, this team's been really spot on so far today, Grapes. It's been a really fun, impressive start from them, as they're blitzing down top esports, countering a lot of the plays that we usually think would be top favored. And again, like with this composition, I mean, we've seen a lot of this style of comp with MF Scion, your ability to rotate. I feel like BLG, the answers they've had have been really, really good. Elk's going to drop this wave that will hurt a little bit. They should probably switch things back up with Bin, but still, they got the Dragon, and they got kills bot secured.
Another kill onto the Bin Yorick as well. I mean, we meant you look. I'm going to call back to that lower third. 8-2 on this champion, dating back to the start of the second round robin, which is where we've seen BLG look really nice. As Knight will face check the red buff being taken away, uses the Spirit Rush to escape, and will be very happy about it nonetheless. JackeyLove might have to flash away from here. It looks like instead he's going to just use his auto attacks to clear out that wall and allow for the wave to crash underneath the turret. But in this swap situation now, it is Bin that's going to be able to control this in a 2v1.
Yeah, actually pretty smart by Bin. We didn't see him throw that E out on the JackeyLove, because once you E, the Maiden gets stuck on like attacking Jackie. So I know the Maiden took a little bit of damage there, but do like how he's been playing around that. Elk actually got starved out a little bit in this last sequence, and Knight as well. So good punish by top esports off the Dragon and that kill going over with on showing bot. I do think they actually picked up more gold off the play. Of course, dropping the Dragon still not going to be super ideal, but we've been talking a lot about how we've liked the early game movements from BLG. That was a good save there from top.
Slowly but surely going to try to get their way back into this game. As it is a scaling team fighting-ish composition that we talked about for TES in this one, being the Scion, the Misfortune, the Azir. That's where they're going to be at their strongest. But BLG love to skirmish, and they have level 6 on Beichuan right now, which means they can go for the grubs. Another nice engage from on Kanavi, popping the Crescent Guard, looking to try to collapse on a Knight. He has to flash away. The bullet time going to come through from Jackie. It does work, and Beichuan will drop as top esports find the fight that they might have been looking for. On going to drop as well. A double kill in for Creme is still alive. Charm only landing on a Kanavi. And JackeyLove going to force him away with a full HP bar and some double love. The pressing attack already doing a lot of damage on a Knight. And he's forced to pop the W and escape. The flash forward to the cleanse. JackeyLove popping off in the mid lane and getting the kill on a Knight. And top esports finding a big fight around the grubs.
Welcome to the series, JackeyLove. That was a huge fight for him with the MF. A little bit surprised that BLG took that one with Knight missing the ultimate. A couple of big plays ended up happening there. Shout out to Crisp. Actually flashed to catch the charm and interrupt the CC chain that was going down onto Kanavi, and that did help Kanavi actually be able to play out that fight. Again, Knight with no ult available. The power for BLG there at the grub fight, I think, went down a lot. A little bit surprised that they tried to fight that one as hard as they did. Look at this
they
flash
felt
from
like
Chris.
they were stronger in terms of their current composition, but
yeah.
A lot of time bought by Kanavi, forcing the flash out from Knight, and then Creme cleaning things up here on the backside.
Yeah, I a little bit surprised that Creme got out. I thought that if Elk threw the double up into Creme, that actually would have hit. I think he put it into sorry, Crisp. So potential that we could have had a Zero go down there too, but now Creme with the early Nashers and 3 grubs. We've seen what Azir can do here, and likely going to be another game where we have that Rylai's emerge on the Azir instead of the Beyondries, with Beyondries, of course, losing some AP, and Rylai's getting buffed up a little bit. It's funny because we have, if you're a longtime League of Legends fan, like we have fully reverted to where Azir started out when he was released as a champion, which was Nashor's Rush, Max W, and build Rylai's second. I know it's taken us like 10 years to get back to that, but that was the original Azir. Yeah.
Yeah, there was a time where like Ludens was popular, then you go into like
they changed them. It was a Q Max, right? You're pushing. No, W Max. You know, we're back.
It's full team fighting here for Creme, as he's already picked up that full Nashor's Tooth and gotten himself a nice little CS gap here. And you know, going back to these mid jungles a little bit as well, with Kanavi being the favorite over Beichuan and Knight being the favorite over Creme. That's that nice little dichotomy there. But even between the two newer players in Creme and Beichuan, I mean, I look at Beichuan as somebody who's in a similar boat as what Creme was in last year when he joined Top Esports, right? As being a player that has had some nice performances on some lower level teams, and now finally getting his first big shot. I think so far he's performed nicely and done his job, but waiting to see him take that next step, like I think we've seen from Creme at points in this year, to really establish himself as an elite level jungler.
For me, a lot of the steps that Creme still has to make, I mean, they're going to come in international tournaments, right? I just don't think that we've seen Creme have an effective champion pool big enough to compete at the highest level against the diabolical mid laners that LCK always seems to send to international tournaments. You've seen Bin actually get the Maiden back up, but the fact that he hit E, it means you're kind of stuck on Sion. This could be a Maiden kill. And that's a 2-minute cooldown.
Well, if he needs it.
Yeah.
Not actually using it. Actually, looking to go for the fight. Hey, hold on. 369 went back to base.
Kanavi might be in trouble.
We're just leaving Kanavi out to dry here, as Bin still has the flash. He can just follow, maybe
here
with a Q.
Oh,
So
Sion
Kanavi, with a little bit of greed here, could be in some trouble. They're going to dash back in onto On. A fully charged top block, but it's not enough. It's 369 now with the flash away. Too much time trying to take down the Maiden, but it could result in the fight beginning. It's a 2v4 set up here for BLG. Into the cage he goes. It's going to be 369 going down. Knight getting the kill. And now Creme's going to get caught up, landing on the charm. The Emperor's Divide only sending Bin back. He dashes away. The culling coming out. Finally, JackeyLove got him alive, but it's going to be all too late. He gets caught up by the Magnet Storm. And Top Esports die one by one.
Top Esports, what was that? I don't get why we're sending ourselves in for the Maiden. That was the most valuable Maiden of all time, as Ben sacrifices his wife to kill everyone else on the side of Top Esports.
Just press the smite button, man. I think it does 500 reduced damage, but you can still take the Maiden down quicker.
Look. Sometimes, we're on a map with 10 dudes. Sometimes the Maiden can be a hell of a taunt, all right? But Kanavi, we got to lock in better than that. What was that coming out from top? We pretty much sent it all to kill the Maiden, and then sent it to try and save our MVP and Kanavi. Ended up sending a lot of gold over to the pockets of BLG because they were the ones that were there at the play first. And of course, when we're trying to 1v1 the Maiden, I mean, we got to see the work that Bid was doing. I would like to say that this is why we're seeing such a high priority on Yorick for BLG and Bin, but they really just played into the hands of BLG and just created a terrible scenario for themselves.
I mean, you either all in on killing the Maiden with 369, or you both back away. You cannot do this, as it resulted in a really bad sequence that opened up after a nice fight for Top Esports around the grubs, by the way.
This was so questionable, as I mean, even this TP in from Creme. I do want to give credit to how BLG played this one out. I think On's been really on point with Rel so far this game. Look at some of the side steps that he has here. Just spacing Creme, buys times for his abilities, and they take down this Sion. And then in the back half, even able to just stay alive and buy time to kill JackeyLove. Like, look at Jackie in this fight. Jackie is rotating with a Bloodthirster. This is where you're strongest is MF, but the fact that he's trying to get into here, On just one-shots him because he used space well, got his cooldowns back. Bin's down flash. He's probably going down here, but still, there's a lot invested by Top Esports. What else can BLG get as 4 people are top?
See, this is what you do. You send everybody at the same time to take down Bin.
Yes.
This time he didn't have the Maiden set up for himself, but regardless, you're going to take a nice trade here for top. It's Creme setting up the engage, allowing for this push to come on the top side. And by the way, we have that Herald spawning in less than a minute as well. Looks like BLG aren't necessarily done with this play, though. As you see Elk and On starting to make their way up towards this top lane tier 1 turret. JackeyLove going to follow. And this is where the presence will be for both sides until that Rift Herald becomes available. Culling opening up here onto Kanavi. He face tanks a lot of it, gets chunked down to about 45% HP. And with Knight on the way back to the top side, Top Esports have to go for a reset or else they will be in a lot of trouble.
Yeah, they're really trying to stall and delay top here. They don't have numbers, no TP from Bin, but you can see with the info they have, he's trying to get a little bit frisky here.
Yeah,
I do think
can't go for
looks
the dive.
like we're not going to have a play here, Grapes. I do want to say that as this game goes on again, we're going to have that Rywise coming in on Azir. I think this does really warp some of the fights from Azir, especially in this game as 369 is going that way.
This is classic Scion Gaming. You know, we're chilling.
He knows more than me. That's fine. I do think that there is an opportunity like Ahri Lucian again if we're not bursty as BLG. There is some potential for Top Esports to win out on these long fights because Rylai's Crystal Scepter, we saw the ability that Talia had to really space things in the last game and how good that was. And this game really feel like Creme can do the same for his team and trying to really punish like Ahri and Lucian, who are pretty low range when
we don't have that Rylai's yet, which means the collapse can come through for BLG. They use the Rift Herald to pick up the tower, and they're also going to get a kill on the Crisp. But now Kanavi, he smites away the Herald, make sure that escape route is not in essence. And here comes Knight with the teleport. Going to be a little bit overextended, but there's no numbers right now for top. So BLG going to get out scot-free despite being a little bit out of position.
I do think that this gold lead is important for BLG too as time goes on. Because again, what Azir can do in this game, for me, a lot of eyes are going to be on Creme moving forward. I think if he's allowed to function in these fights as the Rylai's Azir, it's going to make life a lot harder for BLG again to try and get through. And for me, with the shotgun comp that they have, right, how important it is to execute around those R keys of Wukong, Ahri, Rel, Lucian. For me, the target has to be Azir moving forward. That's a little bit trickier than JackeyLove's MF.
And if you do send all your resources onto the Azir, all of a sudden that is JackeyLove who is untouched and can maybe have a really high impact with the bullet time for himself. And so kind of a tough situation in these late game team fights for BLG, which is why we're favoring Top's composition come a late game. But BLG right now do have that 2,000 gold lead. They have a lot of resources, specifically onto Elk once again, who has had a great series so far. And they got to continue to play things out in these mid-game skirmishes if they want to continue to have that lead and push themselves to a 2-0 advantage over TES.
Right now, it looks like top outer are going to be taken, but BLG, they've yet to drop a dragon in this series, Grapes. And a lot of these dragons have been taken on time, too. BLG, once again, on time to this one. Creme has a base and a TP available. He's going to go mid. As BLG, I don't know if they can stick this one. They're trying to let Bin get control of bot, but he's not here.
They got the teleport out of Creme, and he's going to issue some poke on tonight right now. Bin and Beichuan on a flank. A Magnet Storm comes through and lands on a 3 from On. As here goes the fight. Cyclone coming through from Beichuan, doing so much work, but a big shuffle comes through from Creme. It sends 2 members straight to JackeyLove's awaiting arms, and Bin's going to drop in a 1v3 situation. Kanavi taking down Knight. Top Esports has arrived, and they pick up an ace in game number 2.
That was a huge fight. Creme picked up the Rylai's there and popped the hell off in that one. As his entrance into the backline, that Shurima shuffle spelled the doom of BLG's backline. Got Top Esports a huge win as they take full control of this game. Take the Dragon, gonna knock down their last outer turret. Or last outer turrets, I should say. And Grapes. This game just slingshot back in Top Esports' favor.
It seems like we've done a little bit of this in the early game, but this feels, for the first time all series, that Top Esports firmly in control of the game.
This is a great engage from On, I should say, as he finds 3. But again, the setup for BLG wasn't quite as good. I really like the line that Creme's holding. And they didn't fire everything onto Creme. Like, yes, he gets charmed up, but Elk not really able to follow up. He gets stuck now in the choke. As what a great play from Creme to enter the back line there. 369 holding the line, doing a damn good job with Kanavi, too. Felt like BLG had no help or no hope in that one. As again, that shotgun from On and Elk, it didn't feel like Elk really connected with the right members. And of course, when you didn't focus on Creme, look what Creme was able to do with that Nashor's Rylai's being complete early on for that fight. He destroyed it.
And with BLG's main carries being an Ahri and a Lucian versus the Azir MF.
Exactly.
You cannot go for these full 5v5s. You have to look for picks, find something before the full fight begins, and this could be a situation where a skirmish could occur, but Bin just gets one shot before Beichuan can do anything about it. On is here, will be able to land a nice crash down, but the bullet time already coming out. On pressing the ultimate button a little bit too late, but finally the carries have arrived. It's going to be Night and Elk to try to save this team fight, and they will be able to get the kill on the JackeyLove, and 369 forced to run for the hills. Not going to be able to get that decimating smash down, and BLG finally respond.
Yeah, top esports a little bit deep there, and I think it's no Creme, no win, frankly. As, yes, the start was great. They took down Bin early on. I just think that Creme is so damn important to top esports and their hopes to win these team fights. Fights where Creme is going to be there with the Rywise versus where he's not are going to be completely different. As On might be looking to try and pressure Creme here with the help of Elk coming in at a TP. If they're able to take
really
down Creme, this would be significant.
The Sun Disc has been set up, but it looks like top esports not even looking for that one here. The shifting sand's going to send Creme away, and so Chris might just be the sacrifice. He uses Zenith Blade to try to escape. Really nice usage of that cage to try to lock Creme in. Crash down does land. Creme does not have a flash. Creme does not have an ult. Creme does not have a life. 1,000 gold to Bin.
That is significant. Right when it looked like top esports were taking control, they overextend on the top side. They take a fight without Creme, and then Creme gets hunted down, overplaying his hand in the side lane. These are the things that top esports did so well to get seed 1, how they played out in sides and played their macro. BLG just punished it on both sides, and now
Kanavi, he's going to try to go for the steal, but a nice delay of the take here. It is going to be a fully charged Q, eaten up by Night as he dashes straight to his demise. But it is still BLG with the numbers advantage. JackeyLove using the blast code to try to get away, but Elk is just too strong. 7, 1, and 8 on this Lucian, and it allows for the Otacon and the fight to go BLG's way.
I mean, yes, the Lucian can't really damage the Scion, but it's about getting around the Scion. Who cares? And BLG, I mean, they just kind of made top esports look like they're chain inting across the map. It's been great plays from them. But, oh, we're getting a replay. Look at that bot lane. Looks like we had the solar flare burn early, and this is how we actually lost the Emperor's Divide. Oh, that's why it was so tricky. His Knight was able to TP out of that one. And that's a huge mistake from Creme, who burned the flash in that play too in the back half and went down. Again, Creme's going to be the big carry of this game. It's going to be tough to deal with him. He does have the Seekers coming in, so the Zanyas for some protection. But look at all the gold that Elk has now. He's got an LDR and a full item up on an MF. This game got so much harder for top esports, how they played out the last 3 minutes in those sequences.
And that's how BLG need to play this game from this point forward. It cannot be the 5v5 like we saw around the Dragon. It has to be isolated situations for top esports where you find advantages. You find places where maybe a player doesn't have a flash, a player doesn't have an Emperor's Divide like we saw from Creme right there, and be able to punish it through and through with the pick comp that you do possess. Things like this Ahri and the Lucian doing so much single target DPS has to be capitalized on for BLG.
I gotta say too, Grapes, like throughout the first 2 games of the series, we said going in that BLG's bot lane has looked much better of late, and it's really felt that way so far in this one. There have been a couple questionable plays and moments from JackeyLove. I know that he had one really good play around that grub fight, but I mean, he's behind. And Elk is just on the Lucian, man. I mean, you can feel like a superhero when you get early Flicker Blades, early LDR, and Elk sure as hell has looked like one. So he's zooming around, but again, Creme.
Oh, nice.
Great find.
Caught out here. Spirit Rush on out of here, and now On is in some trouble as well. It's going to be just him forced back a little bit. Knight's going to be able to TP back to this fight with Bin pushing onto this top lane tier 2 turret.
I
with
think
Elk also top lane, it's going to be the Dragon going over to top esports.
And this is going to be the tricky thing again. That's a really good find by Creme and Kanavi just to get the ult out at Night. And if top esports, they're able to set up, be bunched up like that, and they can prevent some of those angles coming in from BLG or disrupt the shotgun because they need to press R and go in together and actually be able to find these things. Again, the strength of Creme, he's going to be the one that has to carry this game.
Yeah, we talk about a player, a newer player here. This is his 2nd full year on top esports after spending some time on some of those OMG rosters in the past, and has the keys to evening up this series right now. JackeyLove severely behind. You have 369 on tank duty, which he'll be valuable, but in terms of the damage and also in terms of the zone control and the area of influence that he can have with these Sand Shoulders, with the Rylays in inventory, him and Kanavi have the ability to buy a lot of space for the rest of the team.
I really like how they synced up there again, holding that wall with the Rywise Azir. Like it's going to be a real pest to deal with this Rywise Azir. I cannot emphasize enough like how much this item really just changes things with how champs can interact and the space that you can buy as Creme. I think it's just going to be essential if they want to win this game. Because, again, as you both called out, Grapes, you have a Rywise in, and yes, Lucian's slippery, but he's still pretty short range, right? Outside of that R. So if you're able to lock him up and slow him down, that is a world where the MF can thrive, and the Cyan can also thrive if he's able to maybe, squeeze out a few more decimating smashes, or just an auto, or just be more involved. So,
yep.
Gonna have to look out for that, because we have seen a much closer game. It still feels like Top Esports kind of threw the potential lead they should have had in this one, but has been closer.
It really should have just been Top Esports, like with like a 4,000 gold lead right now, and yeah. I mean, look at it. It was what, like 13-11, and now it's 17-14. Like BLG got like 6 kills in a row, and just
they had a 3.5k gold lead. Like out of that, like they flipped the 2k gold deficit into a 3.5k gold lead, and then a flip back to here. So has been fun. We were expecting a close series today, Grapes, against two of our top teams that we've had really since 2020. As BLG, of course, a fan favorite in terms of representing people or this region internationally. And Top Esports, the org that has most recently represented this region internationally. Not to the hopes of fans, but still, they have put together a really strong split one and trying to make sure they finish that off on a high note.
It's going to take a little bit more work here, as BLG, despite them having that gold lead, again, the early game it was definitely more in their favor, and as we get to these big team fights around neutral objectives, that is really where we are favoring Top Esports if they are able to control areas of the map here with Creme and JackeyLove.
It's a lot of info.
Maybe catch out Jackie here, actually immediately popping the Cyclone, forcing at least a flash, if not more. JackeyLove might just be dead. That's Beichuan getting the kill. A beautiful find for the BLG jungler right as Baron spawned.
JackeyLove didn't burn any sums. I don't think that he lives if he burns them, so at least he holds on, and it's a little bit too early for BLG to look at Baron, but they want more fights.
Another nice engage from On, and the culling will come through. Isolated situations for BLGs where they find success. They find 2 of them right there. And with the jungler down for 40 seconds, that is Baron picked up for BLG.
Yeah, a little bit early for Baron, but when there's no smite on the enemy team, might as well hit it, as Top Esports falling apart at the seams again here, Grapes.
What happened? Things were going so well for Top Esports.
What a greedy base from JackeyLove. Like, outside the brush, too. Yeah. And he was basing outside the brush. If that's inside the brush, Grapes, he gets the reset off. The fact that it's outside, though, just a small thing, small mistakes coming out of JackeyLove. Really, things that, I mean, if you've watched JackeyLove domestically, I really feel like this guy is an elite AD. And international fans remember him for IG, being the young gun, where it's, he's going to play aggro and flip plays for better or worse, right? I feel like he really has gotten that to be a much more calculated and much more in his favor when he does decide to go for plays. Domestically, where he has been a beast. I mean, this guy is playing to make his 9th final in this split. I know he hasn't won all of them, but you cannot deny how good he is in this league. But, man, these are the small mistakes that, like, he's really cut out of his game in the last 7 years, and it kind of sucks to see him here.
Yeah, I mean, really having a tough go of things, especially here in this split. On TES has been a lot less of the super pop-off performances from JackeyLove. However, he has been clutch. Even if he finds himself behind in certain games, if he's able to find the right angle, find the right team fight in the late game, it can still be a vintage JackeyLove performance, and we're going to have to see one soon. As Dragon spawning in 3 seconds, it could be the 3rd Infernal Drake here for TES and picking themselves up that Infernal Soul point.
Ooh.
Creme pops the Banshees of Night. That is a big cooldown already utilized here. The Spirit Rush forward, Charm does not connect, but Crisp getting singled out. Crisp was getting called, and Crisp going down to Elk. Beichuan coming through for the Cyclone. Creme uses the Emperor's Divide all too late, as On will collapse upon him, and Kanavi going to go down on the backside, finally going to get one on tonight. Elk dashing forward on the JackeyLove and will take him down with one more auto attack, but he just will be able to survive at least for a little longer. Elk waiting for a dash to try to keep himself up. The turret doing so much damage. The Ardent Blaze not doing any work. But it's going to be JackeyLove surviving, but now the base is in tatters as Bin's able to pick up an inhibitor on the backside of the fight.
And they don't care about the Dragon. They want to use their Baron to keep on pushing as the Maiden gets sent under the turret, but the damage has been done. Bin has secured an inhibitor, and they're looking for more.
Jackie still has his bullet time. They still have 369 as a big beefy frontliner, but it's going to be at least 2 inims going down without that Dragon being picked up. So BLG can retreat right back towards it, but the Baron power play, huge for Top Esports, or huge for BLG, I should say, as they found themselves a massive lead and are in firm control to take a 2-0 lead.
And look at Elk, too. When we get the replay, Elk has just been such a monster in this series so far, Grapes. Has that infinity edge now as he's, I mean, almost 2 items up against JackeyLove. And I like what Creme does here with at least getting the Banshees and the ult out of Knight. But the back half of this one, just how BLG is playing with space, they were able to find the engage, right? Chris kind of got stuck in this line brush with Knight keeping him there. Chris just gets one-tapped, and then, again, this approach from JackeyLove is just not good enough. He's not connected with his team. The Scion's not able to be here to help, and it's BLG using their mobility to really just delete top esports off the map. I think it's really important that Scion's here to hold the line, but once they're down Baron, I mean, he's dealing with the York split push, and Bin's winning that anyway. So, feels like top esports just kind of stuck, and again, after that third Dragon, you're up 3K gold with this comp. Like, we really liked where things were for top esports. They just have not been able to put it together from there.
A 10K gold swing now as BLG approaching unwinnable territory here for top esports. Creme going to be the target here as the calling out does come out, but Chris finds a nice engage with the Zenith Blade. Still has to flash away, though, and now the chase can begin potentially. 369 has TP, but they do not want to continue the fight. And again, it's BLG understanding their win conditions. They know that if they full engage in a 5v5 situation, top esports have the better champions. So they pick apart them one by one. They kite back here with Knight playing on a knife's edge in that mid lane, dashing forward, throwing out charms. And also they send Bin on that side lane because this Scion is a big part of how top esports win. And when he's forced to try to match a pushing York, he's not going to be there to help his team.
Nope, and no one can really match a pushing York too. That helps has been. You did go Hullbreaker, went the earlier Sorelda's going up against the Scion. And looks like he's going to go for the Shojin. Yep, there it is in inventory. So more abilities for York. That's going to feel good.
Yeah, I mean, good luck. Good luck to anybody. Good luck to any 2 members of top esports against Bin right now in the side lane. You know, he hasn't had the big impact in these fights, but doesn't need to. He's playing this champion to perfection right now, and that's why he has an 8-2 record on it, especially here in the second half of the regular season. Not
just an 8-2 record, it's like, it feels like he's blinding York for the majority of those games, too. And just daring people to beat him, which is the Bin of old. The Bin that we have grown to know and love in LPL, where the way that he's lanes is just a little bit too damn good for people to deal with, so.
Okay, here comes the fight that they may have. Oh, he's trying to drift. Not finding the stun, but the Solar Flare will onto Elk. It's going to be JackeyLove finding a big shutdown as a big pick comes through for TES. Kanavi looking to control the play still. He dashes over with the audacious charge. Does have the Crescent Guard still to try to knock away one, but now the target's going to be Beichuan instead. He uses the W to get on out, waiting for another engage to come through from Creme, waiting for that shifting stance to come off the cooldown. The bullet time comes up. Beichuan does not have an escape, but Knight on the backside going to take down Chris. Creme going in on a 2v1 situation, but now top esports might have over-indexed a little bit here with Knight still at full HP and still having that charm availability. Dashes forward, not landing it in, but now Creme can go for the play himself, landing a lot of damage with those auto attacks and forcing Knight back to base.
Yeah, that play from Crisp, hiding in the brush, it took the summoner spells away from Elk, who was down cleanse, down flash, and BLG being pretty far up on the map. Great angle from 369 to really put Elk and BLG in a bad spot and find a kill, but they can't take any major objectives off that. Baron spawning in 5 seconds. We can see this has to deal with the map, deal with the inhibitors being down, and BLG are the ones that still have control.
Now, they've kept things interesting. It looked like BLG were about to run away with this game, but Elk getting caught out, getting that big shutdown onto JackeyLove, and all of a sudden, with this Baron still available, with a potential Soul Dragon up in a minute 30, it could be top esports coming back into this one, but look at Beichuan. He found a potential flank. He dashes in, finds a knock up onto Creme. The charm to follow as well. He's forced to go golden early, but he still has that ultimate at his disposal if he needs to use it. It finds 3 members. Kanavi's still massive on the front line, but here comes Bin, and finally the Yorks arrived in the team fight that BLG can take control over. Scion's got to use the choo-choo train out defensively, and it's just going to be him in a 1v3. 0 chance for top as BLG going to take a commanding 2-0 lead in this best of 5. Former teammates going to be 1v1ing each other on that side lane, but it's going to be Bin and Elk to finish the job and send Bilibili Gaming to match point.
Elk and On have been too damn big in this series, Grapes, as that one sure as hell looks like a bot gap to me. Lucian Rel being massive. Elk was fantastic in that game. And for a series that, again, we pitched as being pretty close coming in, it's been all BLGs so far.
It was a close game. Don't get us wrong here. But top esports really throwing away what should have been a pretty easy to control game number 2. They let their early game counterparts get just way too far ahead with some severe positioning errors, and it resulted in Elk getting just way too strong to handle, Beichuan finding a massive engage there to win that eventual game-clinching fight.
And look, like the BLG draft, I just feel like they executed their win cons better. When you take a look in top esports, we're seeing these weird mistakes from them of like overextending in side lanes, misplaying how they manage the side lanes. That's really when top esports is at their best. That's some of the stuff that they do to actually play their best in the mid to late game with how they play the macro around the map. Like, we're used to seeing more moments where 369 was able to actually attack Elk being down sums rather than, you know, Creme and the team getting stuck and caught out in the side lane. And BLG's ability to bounce back in that game after that third Dragon fight, where I really felt like it was the demise of BLG going into this game 3 1-1. BLG has been the better team so far today, and at the moment, this kind of has feelings of a 3-0, Grapes.
If top esports don't lock in right now, it's going to be that, because BLG, as you mentioned, have been the better team on the day, and that's not necessarily surprising, but it's surprising that it's this one-sided, at least so far. I mean, game number 1 never really particularly close. I mean, it was tight for the first 20 minutes, but as soon as that one fight happened, it was BLG that controlled it all the way to the end. There were some moments where top esports felt like they were coming back into this one. There are moments where it felt like they were in winning positions, but yeah, BLG still able to take a good handle of things here, and showing why they actually had the best record in the second round robin. It wasn't top after Beichuan came in. It was actually BLG at 8-1.
Yeah, I gotta say, like, Elk and On, what we've seen from them so far in this series has been disgusting. Look at that damage chart, Elk. I think we're rewarding the boom boom damage with another pog here, as I've been disappointed so far with JackeyLove and top esports. I know that we've pitched that JackeyLove isn't playing quite as well in the second round robin. We came into the series saying that, hey, we feel like his champion pool has been a little bit narrower from what we've seen from other ADs, something that we're really not used to saying about JackeyLove. And one of his really effective champs in the MF just wasn't able to, with his team, execute that early game well enough. I loved how BLG played out the first 8 minutes. I feel like the rotations that they had really did set top esports behind. I know we aren't going to see a bunch of that as we're busting out into the fights, but I believe this is the fight they won hard, because they didn't go on to Creme, and from there, we just never really found a 5v5 where top esports had control, and we got a front to back. Everything else after this was BLG playing with Fog, like finding picks, finding advantage, playing with numbers. And they were up 3k gold from here with an Azir, with a Scion. Like, you have good scaling, and they threw in the way they did. That's pretty concerning.
It's no coincidence that that was the last 5v5 that we saw. It's not just like, oh, it so happened that there were no more fights. It's BLG playing the map to perfection and making sure that top esports were always in uncomfortable positions, whether it was them starting off engages or isolating certain targets or making sure that they're weaving in and out of fights instead of fully diving in for them. It results in certain advantages going here. This is the start of that downfall for TES, as they found these kills and immediately, I think, followed up with that play on the bot side.
Yeah, that Knight TP, it was trying to be canceled. It was not. And then, yeah, this is Creme and Chris running for the hills. And, man, and the replay, too, I know that Elk, of course, on the Lucian, he was flashy with the boom boom damage, but what a rel game from On, too, Grapes.
Yeah, 100% kill participation, by the way. So we don't see that very often. That might be enough to get him MVP over Elk, but, I mean, everybody on BLG really
was he really 100% KP?
Yeah.
I might have to give that to. I thought On was just brilliant in this game. And again, the gap we're seeing between him and Chris and then Elk and JackeyLove, like, I'm not used to seeing like 1v1 gaps that are this big at this level. And we have really seen the bot lane of BLG just smoke top esports today.
Oh, the cinematic replay on the recall showing just how close JackeyLove was to the bush. And this was, I think, the backbreaker, because it seemed like maybe there was a world where top esports were going to come back after that. But, I mean, just way too well played for BLG. Another nice stun from On that sets up the culling to just completely 100-0 Crisp, who had himself a bit of a rough one. And that was it, basically.
The flash into the wall to get the double tap, too. How beautiful was that from Elk? I know that he ended up going down after burning those sums. It was a nice angle from Chris, but man, what a fantastic game from Elk and BLG. I mean, I cannot emphasize enough the difference that we're seeing between these bot lanes. And when you have that, again, we really threw down, like, hey, you got to focus on Creme. Creme has to be the focus. The last team fight executed beautifully. They find the Azir right off the bat. Creme can't play the game from there, and that makes for a pretty one-sided victory from BLG. And what's felt like a one-sided series so far Any plays we've seen from top esports to get themselves into the game have pretty much instantly been gifted back. You think about that third dragon into the sequence in game 2, and even game 1, that really positive start to the game where they just chucked on the dive.
BLG off to a commanding lead, looking like the team that made it all the way to that World Finals last year, that won MSI, that just had so many accomplishments in 2024. It didn't seem like we saw it fully come to fruition in Split 1. Definitely some struggles at the start of Split number 2. But ever since Beichuan's come in, they've been off and running here as we are awaiting our player of the game for this second matchup. I would hope that it's going towards on. Because, yeah, the bot lane has been the difference maker here.
You know what it must have been? Oh, it is. You know what it had to have been, Grapes? The fact that we played a Mickey X Rel MOBA Trainer puzzle.
True.
Before we started this one, as I'm squeezing in yet another sponsor shout out that wasn't even required from me, because we just love MOBA Trainer that much. But hey, you caught out 100% KP. Look at On, 100% KP in this game. He was fantastic on the Rel. I know that Elk was really flashy with the boom boom damage, but I feel like, kind of in hindsight, really well-deserved pog from On. Is cannot emphasize enough how good the bot lane of BLG has been so far today.
Elk and On, 2 players that have, I think, historically, or at least this split, kind of had some inconsistencies, specifically during BLG struggles, which is why maybe on the All-Pro ballots they don't rank as high.
I snuck On in for mine. I sadly had Crispin on mine too, and that doesn't look too hot. But you know, we're gonna move. I think I had Kyle on
right
and
there.
then Crisp. Sorry, Jouet.
Yeah, those are the top 4. But I mean,
yeah,
it's very clear that as we've seen in years past, when Elk and On are on form, they're one of the best bot lanes in the world, and we're seeing that in play against TES. The #1 seed down to match point and going to have to reverse sweep their way into the upper bracket final. We'll see if that journey starts now or if BLG are going to shut the door when we come back from this short break here on LPL English.